I was working as the manager of a homeless centre in Adelaide, in Wright Court. And I was working with 180 homeless people every day. Pauline was working with me. It was a terrible cesspool of drunkenness and mental illness and poverty and brokenness. And it was the last place on earth that I wanted to work. In fact, on the very first day in that job, I had a young man, about 20, come up to me with a knife in his hand and stick it in my shirt here, right in there. I said, "What are you doing that for?" I said, "Put that knife away. I don't talk to people with knives." "Oh, sorry, sir." And he put it back in his pocket. It was a terrible place. People were all over the shop with their mental health. They were discharged from mental hospitals and they didn't know where they were or what they were doing, but they would come to us. There were even children living homeless on the street. This one's Foxy and Wesley. Foxy was an older man that took him under his wing and protected him. This is a travel talk with a difference. I'm taking you on a different place. And then we would provide a cup of coffee for them, a place to have a shower if they were men. We didn't have a ladies' shower. I'll tell you about that in a minute. They could store a bag there. Most of their bags were black garbage bags. That's all they had. And they carried a garbage bag from where they slept. They might have been sleeping under a bridge or in the concrete pipe down at the railway station. They had terrible lives. But I'll tell you about George there. He's about our age, so I'll tell you about George. He was an alcoholic and he would drink his life away. He was married with 2 daughters and his wife got sick of it. She kicked him out. So he went to live in the streets. And sometimes he would be drunk and picked up drunk and disorderly, and back then they used to put him in jail for the night. And one night he went into a store called, it was called Moore's in Adelaide, a big department store, and he went to sleep in the toilet. Well, in the morning, a cleaner comes in at 6 a.m. and says, "Ah, there's a man sleeping in the toilet." Gets put in jail. Anyhow, he was living a terrible life, and we found him. When I say I worked with the Adelaide Central Mission, which is a Christian group that help people. So we took him into a place called Kaipo in the Adelaide Hills where he could get off the grog and do something different in his life. And I met him up at this Kaipo rehabilitation place in the country where they couldn't get to the hotel. And I said, "George, they're going to find a house for you soon down in Adelaide. But I said, I'm going to be managing this day centre. If you want to, you can come and help me. But the only job I've got is to wash cups." And there we are at the sink and he's washing and drying cups. Now, if you have 180 visitors in your centre, which was not much bigger than this room, they sit there and drink coffee all day. And they want their cups washed all the time. So I worked it out, I got the calculator out one day and I said, "He's been here 5 years, George, washing cups." We worked out how many cups every day. I said, "My goodness, he's washed 1 million cups." But it was his purpose in life. And he came in every day on the bus and he'd stay all day and wash cups, wash cups, wash cups. So I told my boss, I said, "Why can't we honour this man? 5 years without drinking. Let's honour him. Let's give him a gift." And the boss said, "Well, what does he need?" I said, he needs a coloured television set. He's sitting at home watching a tiny little black and white thing. And now coloured TV in the 1980s was popular. So the boss said, "Yeah, let's give him a coloured TV." And then I said, "George, would you mind if we told a story about your 5 years and washing 1 million cups?" and put it in the paper, because this was to get a bit of publicity for the mission, brings in more donations, people get involved and help. And he said, that's all right. So I rang the advertiser, Adelaide advertiser, and they come along, and first thing they wanted was a ladder. And the photographer came, he said, put the ladder in the middle of the room, now get every cup you can find and put it around him. He's sitting on the floor with maybe 300 cups around him. We didn't have 1 million. But anyhow, the photographer goes up the ladder and takes his photograph from above. And there's George sitting there looking up with all these cups around him. And the next day, it's front page of the paper. George washes 1 million cups for the homeless. I went to work the next day. There's a Saturday morning. There's a phone call. Comes into my office. And this woman says, hello, is that man on the paper today, is his name George? I said, yes, it is. She says, that's my dad. She said, that's my dad, I want to see him. She hadn't seen him for 20 years. So she said, where does he live? I said, well, he's in a little flat down at Mansfield Park. Oh, she said, that's just near where I live. So she jumped on her bike and she went and knocked on his door. And she was reunited with her father after 20 years. And he was sober. He used to come after that. He came into work and he said, blimey, Charlie, he said, I've got to have drinks in the fridge for my grandchildren when they come. He had his life back again. He never got to see his other daughter or his ex-wife, but he at least got his daughter and he got his grandchild back.